Good evening, everyone. We're here with Jazz Matters podcast again, and today our special guest is Mr. Leslie Parks, bassist right here in the city of Atlanta. And we're also joined, of course, with my co-host, Mr. Vaughn Coulter, Jazz Beats Radio. And we're going to go ahead and start this thing off because we're getting a little bit late. We're a little late starting, but we're, for the most part, we're going to find out as much as we can. But before we do, we want everyone to, that's watching, to go to the website, which is yesjazzmatters.org. And we would like for you to click on the different tab for the website, because we have not only you can learn all about Jazz Matters and events that we have coming up. You can also go to the Jazz Matters store and buy apparel. And we also have a donation flag that we love donations. There's no better nation than donation. and we want you to click on those and find out as much as you can about us. But we're going to dive right into the lesson and see what we can get out of him that he hasn't given to anybody else yet. Because I know there's probably a lot of people that want to know what's going on. So go ahead. I know that you are native here in Atlanta, but were you actually born here in Atlanta, or was this a migrant thing? And did you migrate here from another state? And how did you get hooked up into music and then pursue the music business?
Well, it kind of go back during the time, maybe when I was 6 years old. I'm from a little small town down South Georgia below Newnan, Georgia. It's a little small town called Durand, Georgia. It's not far from Warm Spring. Mm-hmm. And I guess I was probably about 6 years old. And this man used to come by my grandmother's house and he used to take us to the movies. But when he come, he had a guitar.
You lost your audio. You lost your audio. Can you hear it? For some reason, we lost.
Yeah, he probably clicked on it. Unmute your mic.
Unmute your mic. Unmute your mic, Les.
Music came into my life. I used to go behind the Magnolia and listen to the music.
Now, Les, yes, some kind of way your mic got muted, and I was trying to catch you while you were talking. But as far as we got was that a person used to come by your house to take you to the movies, and he had a guitar, and we lost your audio after that.
Okay, yeah. He used to play the guitar, man, and I thought it was one of the beautiful sounds I ever heard in my life. During that time, that was back, way back during the time, like in the 50s. And so the only thing we listened to down there was Nashville, I think it was, country and western. But, that resonated in me, that guitar. But I didn't have any idea that that's what I want to do. One thing I know, I loved it. So we moved from there to Atlanta in Vine City, right down the street from the Magnolia. I don't know whether Vaughn know anything about that.
But that was a little before his time.
That was a little before my time.
Yeah, I think all of this before both of y'all time, man.
Huh? I got here on the tail end of it.
Yeah, yes, sir. But anyway, to make a long story short, music kept coming into my life. I didn't know at the time that the path that the Creator had for me. So we moved from Atlanta to College Park, Georgia. And in College Park, they had a band called the Skull Cat, Daniel Gibson and Lil Hank. They bought the guitar. They had the guitars, right? So my cousin wanted to sing like the Everly Brothers. So they bought 2 guitars and they got Hank and Daniel to show them. But me, I was right there with my eyes wide open, So I'm watching every move that Lil Hank played. And the first song he played was Jimmy Reed, Big Boss Man. And the first time I picked up a guitar, I played that because I was playing guitar at first, right? So from that point, I got with the band. I got good enough to play with the band. And I got with this band my cousin had from Atlanta named Otis, Jiles, and the House Rockers. But we had 3 guitars. And they used to call us the country and western band. So one of the big bands behind it, because during that time, bro, Atlanta was full of clubs, full of music. You can get a gig anywhere. And they said, well, man, y'all need a bass player. Y'all sound like a country and western band. So the rest of the guys, they didn't want to play it. I was the youngest one. Guess what? I got it. I hated it. Man, my fingers used to blister up and all this stuff, you know. But they wouldn't let it go. So they kept me with it. And I began to like it, man. And from that point, I met this guy from Atlanta named Dino Merriweather. He was a very inspiration to me playing the bass. He played bass with Spider and Astronaut, and they was well established. I had just begun. And so he inspired me to play. And we went on from there till I started meeting cats like Frank Blair, Scotty Edwards. And when I got into like Ernest William and Charles Edwards and Scotty Edwards, they turned me on to the blue note. You know, because I had gotten pretty good on bass then. And that's when I got my little taste of jazz, playing, you know, listen to the blue note. Listen to guys, if you listen to guys like Ron Carter and Richard Davis and those type of guys, man, if you try to, at that time we were playing note for note, you know, had the turntable, learning note for note. You remember that, bro?
Oh, yeah.
I had got so good, man, I could, when I get to a point where I try to learn it over again, I could start the record right in that exact spot. So, you know, I learned.
Right.
And then once I had, you know, I got pretty good. And this what happened, man. You remember Layman Jackson?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Just to go to show you, you know, I thought I was pretty good, but he used to come by the club when I was playing at the Pendulum Club with Lil Harry. He used to come by, he used to come by there, man, me and him go outside and talk. And he said, yeah, man, you know, I like that little thing you doing. What that little thing you doing there, man? And I was, you know, picking up stuff from Ron Carter and those type of guys, you know. And he invited me over to his house. I said, man, why don't you come on by the house, man, and we can get together change some things. I didn't go, stupid. And so, but it just went on from there until where I am now. So that's
it's funny that you would name some names, man, I hadn't heard of in a long time. And the fact, like when you, now I met only once. I only met Dino once when I got here. And I was, you know, I was told that he was a bass player. And at the time I met him, though, I think he was pretty much, you know, it was pretty much a thing he used to do. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. Yeah.
Then you met, I mean, you were talking about the Charles Edwards and his brother Scotty.
Yeah.
Scotty was the one that played with Stevie Wonder, right?
Right.
I think he went to where from there, Hall and Oates somewhere.
I don't know, man. Scotty, when he moved out to California, you know, Los Angeles, he played with a lot of different people out there, and a lot of recording with a lot of different people, you know.
Yeah, I remember that because when I got here, now I met Frank when I came here also, and I know Frank used to work with Marvin Gaye.
Right.
He worked with Robert Palmer and probably worked with a few others that before I got here.
Right.
Of course, I definitely knew Layman. And what was his name? You named one more. Yeah, I met Robert Popwell.
Oh man, yeah. Oh Pop, yeah.
Yeah, Popwell went out to California. And tried to take the place over out there, didn't he?
Man, Caldwell went out there. He went out there with a
Yeah.
yeah,
But he
yeah,
went out there with someone else. So I think it was Olivia Newton-John or somebody like that.
yeah. He worked on Olivia Newton-John, and then he went with the Crusaders, you know.
Right, right.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, and I met also just before Pop. Well, not just before, some years before Pop died. I didn't even know that he had passed away. And but I met his brother. You know, his brother came to a place I was playing at, like right downtown, a little small place, you know. And he was Robert Popwell's brother. I said, yeah, I met Popwell when I first got here. When they were over there at the Regal Room, you know?
Right.
And I met him, and he had Pop on the phone. And all I could say, because I didn't really know him that well, I could say, hello, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
You know, but for the most part, yeah, those guys were real, they were forces to be reckoned with around here.
Yes, sir.
There was no joke about it. You know, they could play. And me and Vaughn were talking a little earlier about basically opportunities, environmental opportunities, where as a musician, if something, I mean, like you said, we can hear about, like me and Vaughn were talking, we can hear about a lot of musicians, you know, because they play on records and you see their names and all that stuff.
Right.
There are a lot of musicians that are just as good.
Right.
They've never had the opportunity to work with the headliners. It didn't mean that they weren't better. I mean, I learned a long time ago that everybody I think was so great. I found a guy that was coming up out of the field that had no way of that opportunity, but with that instrument in his hand.
Oh man!
Goodness, it was like a religious experience.
I know, no doubt.
Vaughn go weigh in on this. Go ahead, Vaughn.
Yeah, because it just, we were talking about Hank Jones, Bob Cranshaw. Talking about Paul Chambers, you know, and I'm sitting back and you know, because Edwin is a bassist, and you know, and you're a bassist, and I said we ought to just have a show based on just those, you know, bassists in general, because it's just like you guys, like I was saying to Edwin, you guys are that guy that, you know, you provide that bottom.
Yes, sir.
You provide that bass, you know, and you guys are very disciplined in knowing how to come in and go out, whether you want to walk it or you want to add some other little nuances to it, but you stay within those parameters, you know. And so, you know, you sometimes you don't have time, you know, you're not there to solo, but you know how to kick it in every once in a while when it's time for you to solo, you know, and you know what to do once you get there, you know. And so I mean, you're kind of like the unsung heroes of those trios and quartets and quintets, and you know, because they got to have you, you know. And so it's just, I mean, I can't say it enough, because you know, you don't get enough recognition to me, and I'm just glad that you're here to be able to, you know, help that focus, you know, let everybody know what you guys are up to when you're actually performing, you know, because it's something to be seen. And I have to add this a little bit. I dabbled in a little bit of double bass back in high school, and I had to put it down because there was this young lady that joined the orchestra when I was there in high school. I grew up in Compton, California, and she joined the band, and this girl was unbelievable. I had to remove myself from the bass and go back to playing the trombone.
You remove yourself from the bass to hide your face, huh?
Oh my gosh. I can't think of her name, but the young lady ended up graduating from high school. She went to another high school. In fact, she transferred, and she ended up playing, backing up a trio that backed up. Let's see, what is her name again? She's an actress who had her own jazz club in LA. She played the maid on the Jeffersons.
We talking about Marley Gibbs.
Marla Gibbs.
Okay. Okay.
Her own jazz club in LA.
Right.
And the young lady that I'm speaking of, she played in the trio that backed her up. And she went on to be in like one of the most sought after, double bassists in the city of Los Angeles.
Mhm.
So I didn't know what I was getting into, but I'm glad I got out of the way of her.
Hey, Brian,
It was
I just came over the thing when you were talking about that, and the fact that we are talking to Les here, who's actually, I would call him still a native of Atlanta, to have a session where we can talk as bass players, just get X amount of bass players together at once to share those same experiences with each other, and because we don't have enough things in the city like forums and stuff like that where you can go to not only learn about other musicians and their concepts of playing and everything. You know what I'm saying? So it pulls things together. You can get the perspective of the musicianship around here and how good it is. And the point is though, like I said, it's mainly those places where you got the most opportunities is where you'll find, like, say for instance, Les, if you had moved away from Atlanta at that time, who knows? You know what I'm saying? Because the opportunities were in like even though Atlanta had a lot going on musically, but those particular, there were guys like, for instance, none of the guys we know of that are household names, like you say, Ron Carter, somebody, they weren't coming to Atlanta to record.
right.
Freddie Hubbard wasn't coming to Atlanta to record. And it's basically because Atlanta, that's that they didn't have the technology or anything, because the technology was, industry-wide the same, right?
Okay.
Right.
But it's just the fact that they did not want to leave where they lived because it was so much more of it. And they basically, it was much easier, a larger pool of musicians. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
So, and that's how they would get things done so much faster. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Because if you played with Freddie Hubbard, right?
Okay. Okay.
But Freddie had a session to do, and he just happened to find somebody that convinced him to do it here in Atlanta. And, well, it's the possibility you could have been on the session. Now, when Freddie left and went back to wherever he was coming from, whether it be New York or wherever, Chicago, or whatever, and he comes up with another session. See, that means his producers are going to say, "We got guys around here that can do this."
Right.
And
right.
But that doesn't put any shade on what you did down here.
Right.
It's just that in the environment up there, they don't want the expense of having to fly you from here, to another city.
Right. Exactly. Exactly.
Like a lot of musicians on their own, they actually left on their own to seek that. And some of them did well, and some of them did fairly well. Let's say it like that. But it's all about opportunities in your environment, that really can excel you or propel you to that household name.
Right. Right.
Let's fast forward up to today. Like let's say Marcus Miller.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Marcus Miller lived in New York, Queens, right? Come out of Queens, but because of the people around the area, would get him at basically call. It didn't take but one. It usually don't take but one person to put you in a studio.
Okay.
Especially in New York, once your name is in that studio for working with any individual, then you pretty much going to be looked at. It's going to be like word of mouth.
Right.
And so therefore, you get called for many other things.
Right.
Like I said, that type of music wasn't being really recorded here on that scale. So a lot of musicians, a lot of them left the Atlanta area to go.
Right.
And then they would also use the musicians that when they left there, they didn't go back and call back on musicians in Atlanta. You know what I'm saying? They they were convinced to use what was there in that environment.
Mm-hmm.
Although they know, you know what I'm saying, that an individual just as talented, you know,
Right.
where they come from. And a lot of them, in a lot of cases, were basically talked out of it. We're talked out of, like you said, man, I know, like for instance, if you do a drum, right? And
Mm-hmm.
they say, I know a fantastic drummer that would like kill this thing that you're doing. You know what I'm saying? And they would say, yeah, but he's in, you know, Georgia. We're here, we got 1,000 drummers up here, you know, to do this stuff. So I would
Right.
think that the musician community here needs to focus more on the network here versus, you know what I'm saying, trying
Good.
to leave here. You see?
Good.
What do you think about that, Les?
Um, you know, I always thought Atlanta, like you were saying, Atlanta have, going to have some of the most talented musicians in the world, really. And I always wondered why didn't as many come out of here to do more than it did. Well, in Atlanta, you know, you find some of the musicians that, okay, here's a good example. Here's this guitarist from Atlanta named J.D. Morris. I'm pretty sure you probably heard of J.D.
Oh, I remember JD, yeah.
Yeah.
He used to talk all the time.
Exactly. But you know, guys like that, you know, I wonder, he was so good. I said, wonder why this guy, nobody picked him up. A lot of times, mentality
Big part.
plays a big part in that, you know, won't allow you to expand your talent anywhere else. You know, your head is big and you're doing real good here, and that's far as you could see. So,
Right.
but a lot of musicians in Atlanta, man. Atlanta has some of the great music. Lee Moses, guys like that, you know. But I'm gonna rebound on what Mr. Vaughn said just a while ago. I think he was saying something about, might have been you, bruh, that bass player know when to play, how much to play, when to lay in. I'm just bringing this back because it was something that I want to spot on.
Right.
Well,
Right.
well, once I start really practicing, you know, getting my talent together. Okay, I was practicing, just like I say, I was practicing on the Blue Note album. And then, you know, when you're trying to do some notes by note for guys like Ron Carter and those guys, man, James Jamerson, of course.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, you're gonna expound. So when you know, I was playing with Lil Harry,
Right.
and he used to, man, Lil Harry used to get on me all the time. I hadn't learned what I practice on when I come to the gig and we start playing. I want to play everything that I practice in one in one song. I mean,
Exactly.
before the song get to the second verse, man, I done played everything that I learned. and then on top of that, after that, I've forgotten what pattern I was playing. You know, just playing Blue and Lil Harry go, just tell me all the time, man, you're playing too much, man. You got to be a little tasteful, you know. When it comes down time for the climax of the song, you don't have nowhere to go. And he was right. Well, it wasn't until,
No, I was just responding to what you said. When you tried, I mean, yeah, I understand. Your enthusiasm overtook you.
It did.
I understand. Your enthusiasm overtook you.
Yes, sir.
You know, but the thing about it is, it's like, you know, and I've heard Ron Carter say the same thing. You know, he's practicing, and then it's like the band leader will say, "This is what we're doing. Concentrate on this."
Right.
You know, because when he was playing with Miles, you couldn't do that with Miles. You couldn't do that with him. You know,
Okay.
Do not go beyond this part right here. You got your parameters. Stay in that lane. You know,
Right.
Herbie tried to do it, and Miles would check Herbie. You know,
Okay.
the only one that Miles would let get away with it sometimes would be Tony Williams, because he
Okay.
relied on Tony in that rhythm.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's just, but he would give Ron the nod. Okay, you can go now. You can go,
Mm-hmm.
and Ron would go.
Mm-hmm.
And so and it's just, but I understand, because you want to really show what you can do.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
you want your voice to be heard.
Exactly.
You want to show your
Exactly.
duality. Yeah, you want your voice to be heard, and I understand.
It's not about, but see, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, in a rhythm and blues band, you got to be in check.
You got to. You got
keep
to.
it in check. Yeah. So, you reach a lot of confrontations if in a rhythm and blues band. They'll look at you. I can imagine what the rest of the musicians was doing when you. They must have been like, "Wow, bro."
They used to get on me all the time, man. But it wasn't until I listened to you, bro. You remember, Ray Ransom, Brick.
Yeah.
After listening to him, because he used to come by all the time and say, "Yeah, man." But when he played a pattern. He wouldn't try to play. He didn't play all that stuff I was playing. He always come and say, "Yo, you sure playing," But when he played a pattern. And it took me a long time to learn that, to play a pattern. And once you start playing a pattern, then you could expound a little bit on that pattern, which will make it more tasteful. Then what the other stuff that you're doing, it'll stand out. But if you playing so much stuff, ain't nothing gonna stand out,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Stepping on everybody else's toes. That's all it is.
Yeah. But again, back what you were saying, what you were talking about, bro, as far as musicians, expanding out. Sometimes you get I got a chance to travel. The only thing that happened to me when I got an opportunity to do something is that while I was on the road, when you're on the road, you can't practice like you want. Plus, I had mental problems, not crazy, but had some problems. And I was out in California, and Scotty Edward called me and said Al Jarreau needed a bass player. He was going on a tour. He gave me the address to the studio in Hollywood. I went. I wasn't ready. You see what I'm saying? So when opportunities arise at some time, if you're not ready for them, then they're gone. So that was one big opportunity that I had, but I really wasn't ready for it. So you have to stay up on your instrument, you got to stay up on your game, stay up on your instrument,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it was great sharing all this with you, man. And I know that there's plenty more to come, so we will have you back. All right. And and if I can pull together that, well, you might have some ideas also of personnel that I can pull together for that forum, the bass players forum.
Mm-hmm.
And all get together and talk about ourselves and techniques and so forth. But right now we got to pretty much shut her down because we're running out of time. And Leslie, if there's any way people, when they see this, if they want to contact you or want to try to keep up with what you're doing, and you got any information on social media that they can get to?
The only information that I have and get in contact with me would be, we had a problem with that email earlier, would be my email, which would be Leslie Parks 681 at yahoo.com. Also, I have an email, is lesfish, LESFISH 1963. With those two, you can pretty much get in touch with me. If anything, you need me for anything.
Okay, let everybody know where they can contact you.
Absolutely. You can find me at jazzbeatsradio.com, which is the webpage for Jazz Beats Radio. And also you can reach me at voncoulter.anbs, which stands for Ain't AintNothingButSoul.com. That's Von Coulter .ANBS AintNothingButSoul.com. I'm sorry, at gmail.com.
Okay.
Mhm.
And you can always catch up with me. I'm Edwin Williams. You can catch me at yesjazzmatters.org. That is the Jazz Matters website, which we talked about earlier. Please go there and subscribe if you like the program. And we are definitely getting back into it for 2022. So we're going to try to have a lot more this year, especially musicians, both here locally and abroad, as well as all over the nation. But that'll be yesjazzmatters.org, and you can find out everything. Please go to the donate button and donate. Don't forget about it. So thanks for coming, man, and we'll see you next time, man. Yeah.
Thank you for having me, bruh. And Mr. Vaughn?
Yes, sir.
It was nice meeting you, sir. I take your comments very serious. Thank you.
Well,
for,
brother,
your comments.
I love this music. I love this art form, and and this brother over here to my left, Mr. Edwin Williams,
Yes,
on top of my toes. All I got to tell you.
All
He's
right.
the man.
Well, we're gonna leave it at that until before he changes his mind, and we're gonna go ahead and end this thing. Thanks, man.
Okay.
Man. All right.
I just
Peace
want
and
to mention one more thing before we go.
All
I
right.
found out the young lady that I was talking about that I had to put the bass down because she was just amazing. Her
Right.
name was Nedra Wheeler. And yeah, she is the truth nowadays. That is the truth.
Okay.
Thanks out. Peace out, everybody.
All right. Peace
All
and blessings, brother.